Welcome back to Outside Views, and today I'm absolutely compelled to talk about the latest and, in my view, the most darkly ironic twist in the whole Brexit tragedy. It's a story of a promise completely shattered, a political project that didn't just fail to deliver, but delivered the precise opposite of what its supporters demanded. The headline I keep seeing is that Brits want to turn back the immigration clock, and that should shock absolutely no one who has been watching this unfolding national delusion. It's a profound and deeply depressing moment of national buyer's remorse. Remember the entire, relentless, all-consuming focus of the Leave campaign. It was about taking back control. It was about the borders. It was about ending the free movement of people, a policy demonized by its opponents as the source of all ills. They promised a new, fairer control system where the UK decided exactly who came in, based on skills, not nationality. And now? Now, a massive 2-1 margin of the British public is reportedly saying they prefer the pre-2021 system to the current one. Let that sink in for a moment. By a whopping majority, voters prefer the system that included the free movement of European citizens, the very thing they were told was a breaking point for the country. The current system, the one implemented since leaving the European Union, is deeply unpopular, only preferred by a mere 19% of the public, according to the stunning polling from More in Common. 41% would rather have the policy they had before Brexit. And this isn't just a change of heart, it's a spectacular, categorical rejection of the central achievement of the Brexit project. The irony here is so thick you could cut it with a knife, and frankly, it is agonizing to watch. The whole thing was meant to be about reducing immigration, but the post-Brexit reality has been a massive, unmanaged surge. The UK government, in its haste to prove it could take back control, didn't just ditch EU free movement, it actually and incredibly liberalized its visa system for the rest of the world. And the result? Net migration numbers have not fallen, they have skyrocketed. And we are talking about net migration reaching a figure like 431,000 in 2024, which is significantly higher than the 200 to 300,000 range that was typical in the 2010s. And let's be absolutely clear about what drove those numbers up. It was a political choice, one that has been cruelly dubbed the Boris wave by critics like Nigel Farage's party. It's a reference to the spike in legal migration under the system brought in by the former Prime Minister, a system which facilitated large-scale recruitment in sectors like health and social care and liberalized routes for international students. So the hardline Brexiteers finally got their system that treats everyone the same, EU or non-EU, but because they opened the door to non-EU immigration wider than ever, they now have higher migration overall. And this is the true self-destructive genius of the Brexit vision. An outcome that manages to make absolutely no one happy. The voters who left the EU to cut immigration have ended up with higher immigration. And the country as a whole has lost its reciprocal rights for its citizens to live and work easily across 27 other nations. This is a failure on every single front. The discontent crosses the entire political spectrum, which is truly remarkable. Left-leaning Green voters are reportedly most keen to return to the old system, with 60% preferring it. But even staunch Eurosceptics, the very people who follow Nigel Farage's Reform Party, refuse to endorse the current system. 37% of his own voters reportedly look back longingly at the pre-Brexit approach, with only a meager 21% favoring the post-Brexit model. When the fire starter himself and his most ardent followers are rejecting the fire he lit, you know the policy is a catastrophe. The researchers suggest this isn't necessarily a sudden, wistful desire for the return of EU free movement itself. Instead, it's a profound frustration with the reality of the current policy outcomes, particularly the high net migration figures and the high-profile surge in small boat crossings in the Channel. People are looking back at the pre-Brexit era not because they understood or even liked the details of free movement, but because that time is associated with lower overall migration numbers that were actually delivered and not just promised. They are, in the word of one expert, simply rating outcomes, and the current outcome is clearly failing. And this is where the political manipulation and the public's limited understanding collide with tragic consequences. The most popular system, according to the same polling, is supposedly an Australian-style points-based immigration system with a net 46% support. But here's the kicker, the perfect punchline to the entire mess. The current, widely unpopular system is an Australian-style points-based system. It is. They have it and they hate it. And this proves that people are not voting for a policy, they are voting for a vague, emotional and utterly detached idea of control and low numbers. They are rating the good vibes conjured up by an appealing phrase like points-based system against the bad vibes of the current reality. And because the current reality is a messy, high migration, chaotic mess, they reject the name of the system, even though it's the name they once cheered for. It's an exercise in national self-deception that has now come full circle to inflict maximum damage. And it's a political tragedy in 3 acts. First, a problem, high migration, is successfully blamed on the EU. Second, a solution, Brexit and a new system, is implemented to solve it. And third, the problem is made significantly worse by the very act of implementing the solution. And now the majority wants to go back to Act 1. But they cannot. As another data expert rightly pointed out, the government cannot simply turn back the clock. Leaving the EU has fundamentally changed the landscape, not least because the UK is no longer part of the EU's asylum and returns arrangements, which complicates the small boat issue that has become so politically toxic. Joining the EU again would not suddenly eliminate that issue, nor would it eliminate the underlying political arguments against free movement, which would immediately resurface. So the UK is trapped in a terrible purgatory of its own making. It has lost the benefits of the EU system, primarily the free movement for its own citizens, and gained nothing in return on its core concern of immigration control. Instead, it has a complex, liberalized, non-EU focused system that has massively increased net migration, leaving everyone from the left-leaning Remainers to the Farage-backing Brexiteers deeply dissatisfied. It's the final and undeniable proof that the central promise of Brexit, the regaining of control leading to a perfect low migration system, was nothing more than a dangerous, empty slogan. And what is left is a deeply divided nation, now wistfully looking back at the period of free movement as the good old days, simply because the current reality is an utterly indefensible shambles. As you know, I have always believed that Brexit was a terrible mistake, and this latest polling on immigration is perhaps the clearest, most heartbreaking evidence, and I would say yet, of the profound self-inflicted damage. The pursuit of a fantasy of control has led only to the total loss of it. So thank you for watching, and please share your thoughts on this astonishing political U-turn in the comments below. I'll see you next time, and if you want to see another video right now, the next one is right here in the end screen.